Hello, everyone. I'm Lisa D'Amico with the Rockland Arts Festival, and I have the pleasure today of speaking with Pauline Chernichaw about her incredible art journey. She is a fine artist, which also includes photography. And Pauline, I want to start off with your background because I feel like that is the strongest influence in your work, especially your paintings.
Yes. Um, I I wasn't born in this country. I was born in post-World War II Germany in a displaced persons camp. I was born to a family of creatives, past and present. I'm related to Stanley Kubrick on my father's mother's side. I have artists all over the world, relatives. They're all painters and photographers and costume designers and musicians. I mean, it could go on both sides of my family. Even my father's brother was an artist, and my son is an artist, and my granddaughter is an artist. I mean, I just can. So it's in my DNA. I know it. And my family came to the States when I was 2 years old. We lived in the Bronx. I was in fourth grade. I was very influenced. I mean, the New York school system was so terrific as far as at that time, the arts was concerned. They really pushed music and the arts. So when I was in fourth grade, we went to the Metropolitan Museum of Art. I remember this, and I saw a view of Toledo by El Greco, and that was it. I knew it was like a light bulb went off in my head. I just stared and stared at this work, and I can still see myself looking at that piece. And then, so I knew what I wanted to do. And even as a kindergartner, I remember standing in front. The only thing I remember about kindergarten is standing in front of an easel painting with, those large jars. And when the teacher said, "Okay, put everything away, clean up," I went, "Oh, got to clean up." So anyway, so it's my journey, but it took me a long time to figure out my my inner desire, my inner self to tell stories about my family, my ancestry. Everything is very personal. All my work has to do with the Holocaust, people who I've lost. My father's whole family, they're all gone. So I tell stories, and I think people can relate to tragedy. And but then in some ways it's uplifting because I have all my titles are kind of really important to me. So the titles, I don't know if I'm rambling on.
No, absolutely.
I'm rambling. It took me a while to figure out what I wanted to do and say in my paintings, but I knew always knew I wanted to say something, but it took me a while, and I realized what was happening. It was slow and steady,
Mm-hmm.
and I began to realize my journey.
You have a very identifiable aesthetic. So I feel like I could see your work hanging and not need to look at the art label to know it's your piece. And I really love that about your work. The
Thank
more
you.
I explored, especially your website, the more I felt like I was turning the pages of a book. And
That's beautiful. Thank you so much.
there's a few that have stuck with me, and I
Mm.
like your insight on them, if you don't mind. The
Okay.
first one that I felt like was it's almost like a visual relatable pain. Even though I don't know the backstory on the painting, everybody has gone through different, experiences and traumas. So when I saw
Mm.
your
Right.
self-portrait and
Oh,
the heavy
oh,
use of that black line over
oh,
the colors, I thought,
thank you. That's so interesting that you say that, because a very good friend of mine is Faith Ringgold. She's very, very close. And I showed her that painting, and she acknowledged that it was something that, I don't want to use certain words, but she really thought it was great. And so, and an art critic actually also thought it was a great painting. So thank you very much.
It
Yeah.
really is. Another
Thank you.
thing I want to ask you about is you did a painting called The Kiss. Is that an inspiration from the actual kiss? Oh, you don't, you've done so many paintings. It's got two, you can see two like heads, but the mouth on one of them, the mouth is like off center and a little disturbing, which a lot of your work is. And I think it's meant to challenge the viewer.
Was it? Oh, I really.
That's okay.
Yeah.
You paint a lot, so
I do, and maybe I could look it up on my Instagram and see. But is it kind of like hot pink?
It does have some hot pink in it, but that's not the predominant color. I will include it in this video so people can see what I'm talking about, but
Okay.
I love it because I feel like you can see the kiss in it, but it's the kiss you don't want.
Oh, gee. I'm so sorry.
It is so good and perplexing all at the same time.
Well, it probably is. It probably is. It's there were two faces, did you say? Two faces? Yeah, I probably painted after my husband passed away, and it probably had something to do with the love and yet the complexity of our relationship. But yet the kiss was always there.
Oh, there's another one called Beware.
Oh, yeah. Beware.
I love your reaction.
Yeah. Beware.
It is the eyes in that are almost terrifying.
Well, that's definitely relatable to the environment, the past environment of my family, my ancestry, and the way we're living today. I always have my antennas up, making sure that I am listening to everything that's going on, because that's why I titled it Beware. We all have to beware of our surroundings because we don't know what's coming. So we have to beware of lives, our lives that are being surrounded and being bombarded by things that we don't want to be bombarded by.
Yeah. In your work, you have a very unique approach to depicting the eyes and the mouth. And is that something that evolved over time? And how intentional was that?
Well, the old saying, eyes are the, what is it? The soul, the eyes are the soul.
Yeah, I think it's the window to the soul.
Yes, right. And the mouth, that's interesting that you say that. I wonder if that has something to do with, I always thought of myself as having bigger lips. So maybe maybe that's what it is. But those things are important. Everything is important. You put things down on paper, everything is there, and it's there for people to see, and it's expressive. And I guess the eyes and the mouth definitely, I love painting eyes. I love painting mouths. I love painting hands. I love painting everything.
The interplay is captivating. And I feel like, because I went back to your website, I think 5 or 6 times to look over your work, because I felt like every time I looked at it, I saw something new, and it struck me in a different way each time. So I really, your expertise and your depth is really palpable, and I really admire that.
Thank you. Well, it's, I think it was Roberta Smith who said some years ago, a great painting has to have emotion. And I think she's right. You have to feel. When you look at work, you have to feel it. If you don't feel it. But then again, some people feel different things. So, one person can look at a painting and say, well, it doesn't do anything for me, but another person can say, wow, this is really,
Yeah.
For instance, I can mention somebody I really admire, Richard Serra. He says so much with so little, and yet there are people who like, I don't understand, but for me, it's like, I get it. I get it. He touches my soul. I just love his work.
Yeah,
So,
there is a deep connection, deep personal connection with your work. I can see that. And for everyone listening, I recommend that they go to your website at least 5 or 6 times to get
yeah.
a fuller effect. I want to switch gears a little bit.
Okay.
I know you are a photographer. When did photography start for you?
Well, I grew up painting and doing art, but my brother was a photographer in high school, and he had a darkroom downstairs. And so little by little, oh, I know what it was. I know what it was. Painting, I realized that painting was also very isolating. You can stay in your studio with nobody around and be totally isolated. So it dawned on me that I could still be creative and be outside and walk around the city with my camera. So that was my tool that I could create, because it's the creating which is so self-satisfying. So that's what I did. I picked up a camera and I started walking around the city because I love New York City. And that was it. Then I took courses at NYU, and I took courses at ICP. And there was one photographer teacher, Alex Webb, I took courses with Alex Webb, and I took courses with Mary Ellen Mark, and they were such great influences on my work. Yes, Alex Webb especially, he was to me just like the most fantastic photographer, and he influenced me. And then so that's what I've been doing. But there are other photographers that I also love, but that's what started me doing photography. I wanted to get out and I wanted to be in the city. So I figured, well, how can I do it walking the streets? So I picked up the camera, and that's it. And so I took courses. I print black and white. And so I just, I do both. But lately I'm doing more painting than photography. I actually bought myself recently a camera that I always wanted. I bought myself a Leica. So I'm very happy with that, but I have to still figure out how to use it.
Do you ever use your camera phone to take photos?
No, did I hear the question right? Did I ever?
Yeah, do you ever use the camera on your phone to take photographs?
Oh, you mean my iPhone? Do I ever?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't, because certain photographers commit to one kind of instrument and others use varied. So I'm curious.
Well, I'll tell you what happened to me. What happened to me, I was carrying around these gigantic cameras, really, really big, heavy cameras at 35 millimeter. And Mark, my husband, said, Pauline, you got to go to digital. You got to go. I said, no, I like film. I like negatives. But you know what? I finally listened to him, and I haven't looked back. I love the digital. And then what was happening was the cameras were getting too heavy. So I had my iPhone. So I started taking photos with my iPhone. And then if something the color isn't right, you just do it in post, you fix it up. And that's what I do. But I I thought you asked, do I use my photos for paintings? I thought that's what you asked.
Do you? That's a very.
But I don't.
Oh, you don't?
Except once, and I'm doing it now, and it's a portrait of a person that I know. And I've never done this before, but instead of asking her to sit for me, I took a photo and I'm painting her portrait. So it's the first time I'm actually using one of my iPhone pictures to paint a portrait.
Well, I look forward to seeing that maybe on social media very soon.
We'll see.
Yeah. Pauline, it's almost time to go. Is there anything else you'd like to bring up, talk about? I would love to, hear anything else you'd like to, share.
What would I like to share? Well, I have work at the Montclair Art Museum, and I had work at the Trenton Art Museum last year, and an art critic said my work was the quintessential piece in the whole show, which I was thrilled about. And life goes on, and my painting goes on, and I will always have something to say. And yeah, that's about. And my friend Faith, I wanted to end with this because she's also a storyteller. And
Absolutely.
she always says to me when I see her, she says to me, "So Pauline, what's the story?" And, what is the story? She's a storyteller, and so am I. And I think most people, if you really, dig into your life story, there's nothing else like it.
Pauline, thank you so much.
Thank you, Lisa. And I am thrilled. Thank you so much. And I will see you soon. I'll go up to the Arts Festival.
Oh, that's great. And listen, yes, we will talk again.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.